Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Mâu Ni Phật. Kính thưa toàn thể đại chúng, hôm nay buổi thứ ba chúng ta đến với nội dung bảo vệ luận án của các sinh viên chương trình Master Triết học Phật giáo. Hôm nay chúng ta sẽ có 3 sinh viên Loan Đoàn, Thơ Nguyễn, trong đoàn là cô Tuệ Minh, Thơ Nguyễn là cô Hiền Chân và Phật tử Gia Vũ. Hôm nay chúng ta có 4 vị giáo sư sẽ là những vị hiệu trưởng và giám khảo trong chương trình này. Kính chúc tất cả các vị nghiên cứu sinh bảo vệ luận án được thành công, tốt đẹp, và kính chúc tất cả quý khán thính giả của Bộ Đại Phật Quốc TV, Sakya Buddha University TV có một cái buổi thưởng lãm bảo vệ luận án thật là sinh động, bổ ích. Dạ, xin mời đại chúng ngồi xuống và chúng ta bắt đầu.
Hello everyone, I made the QR code to have my slides on your phone, to have my slides accessible to everyone. Do you need to take a snapshot of the QR code before we begin? Dạ thưa các cô, các chú, con có làm cái QR code này á, để cái slide của con á, đọc được trên phone. Nếu mà mấy cô chú ngồi ở dưới có thể không thấy, có thể chụp á, đi đọc mà anh được Phật. So is everyone done? Okay, so let's begin. Good evening, Venerable Master. Good evening, professors. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before I begin my presentation tonight, I would like to ask your help with one thing. So on the screen is a picture of a bodhisattva that I stumbled across, and I need your help to identify who this bodhisattva might be. So with a raise of hand, if you think it's A, Kuan Yin, Wang Am. So 3 people think it's Quang Am. B is Mahastamaprapta, Đức Đại Thế Chí Bồ Tát. Please raise your hand if you think this is Đại Thế Chí Bồ Tát. Or C, Samattabhadra, Đức Phổ Hiền Bồ Tát. Please raise your hands. Okay, so N or D, Manjuri, Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi Bồ Tát. Okay, so we have a few people, but majority raise hand for C. C is correct. He is Samattabhadra Phổ Hiền Bồ Tát, because he's riding on a white elephant with 6 tusks. Thank you for helping me. So let's start. The title of my thesis is Ethical Foundations and Interdependent Reality: The Role of Dharma-gaptaka Bhusuni Vows in Cultivating Non-Attachment and Non-Aversion and Depending Origination in the Flower Adornment Sutra. And that's why you think, that's why I asked you about Phổ Hiền Bồ Tát, because he's related. And my name is Loan. I have a Dharma name is Tuệ Minh. So before I'm going to cover the table of contents to give an overall picture of what I will be talking about tonight. So for one, I will talk about the background and research problem. 2, research questions and methods. 3, Dharma Gaptaka Vinaya Bhishuni vows. 4, depending origination in the Flower Adornment Sutra. and the 10 great vows of Samatha, Bhadra, Bodhisattva. That's why I asked. And number 5, the relationship between Bhikshuni vows, the principle of depending origination, and the 10 great vows of Samatha, Bhadra, Bodhisattva. 6, I'm going to talk about findings on table of Bhikshuni vows, answers to the research questions, and lastly, I will conclude with a conclusion. So first, on the background and research problem. The concept of depending origination explains that phenomena arise from causes and conditions, but they lack inherent existence. And so that's why it highlights the universal interconnection. But then on the other hand, in contrast, the Bhikshuni vows emphasize renunciation. Bhikshuni are to detach from material possessions and social ties, which create a perception of separation from the interconnected world. So this apparent tension between the interconnectedness highlighted in the sutra and the renunciation underscore in the vows serves as the foundation of this research basis. Currently, there are no studies that combine the two concepts. Therefore, my research offers new insights into this intersection, supporting a more comprehensive path to enlightenment. So on to research questions and methods. I have 3 research questions. Question 1, how do dependent origination in the Flower Adornment Sutra and Samatha Bhadra's 10 great vows shape the ethical and practical aspects of the Dhammaguptaka Bhikshuni Vyaya? On question number 2, which specific Dhammaguptaka Bhikshuni vows directly target reducing aversion in body, speech, and mind? And question 3, which specific Dhammaguptaka Bhikshuni vows directly target reducing physical, mental, and or sensual attachment in body, speech, and mind? So I use 2 methods in this research. So one is I use qualitative textual analysis of text, sutras, commentaries on the Bhikshuni's vows, as well as principle of depending origination in the Flower Adornment Sutra. And 2, I performed thematic analysis of the 348 Bhikshuni's vows initially from codes, and then I use definitions of the terms as themes to classify the vows into each category. So on number 3, Dhammaguptaka Virya Bhikshuni vows. So this is a set of monastic vows governing conducts of fully ordained nuns in the Dhammaguptaka tradition. It provides a guideline for nuns to behave individually and in the Sangha. In total, there are 348 vows that are grouped into the following categories in the order of seriousness of the offense: Parajika, Sangha Visesa, Naisarjika, Prasita, Patsitiya, and Pratidesaniya. I'm sorry about the pronunciation. Pratidesaniya. So these vows function to purify our body, speech, and mind, to eliminate defilements such as attachment, aversion, and ignorance. So there are a few terms that I need to define. So for the body, this means that it's the physical aspect of phenomenon, including the sense organs, any external matter, and internal bodily form. As for speech, it's a karmic channel through which intention manifests, and it's a form of communication. Mind is the faculty that cognizes objects and produces intention. It is impermanent, conditioned, and not self. And then attachment is just mental grasping, stemming from craving. There are 4 forms: clinging to sense organs, clinging to sense pleasure, views, rituals, and self. As for aversion, it's just mental resistance toward negative experiences. It is expressed as irritation, anger, resentment, or pushing away. On depending origination in the Flower Adornment Sutra, the interest net is a symbol of this. So basically, it's a gem that interrelates with other gems, and also related to other like gems that are reflected within those gems. So, which means that this illustrates the idea or the concept of interconnectedness or interbeing, interpenetration, and non-obstruction between phenomena. In other words, the concept here is one is in all and all are in one. So this means that the causes, conditions, and effects of one another in this interest net, they have no inherent existence, and therefore it is also known as, emptiness. Therefore, we can say that depending origination and emptiness are one. On the 10 great vows of Samatha Bhadra Bodhisattva, on vow number 1 is to pay homage and respect to all Buddhas. In Vietnamese, is lễ kính chư Phật. That means that we need to respect everyone. On 2, to praise the third one comes xưng tán Như Lai. That means that we need to praise the goodness of others. On number 3, to extensively make offerings is hoãn tu cúng dường. So we need to make donations equally to everyone. On number 4, to repent and reform all karmic obstacles. Sám hối nghiệp chướng. On number 5, to rejoice in the merits and virtues of others. Tùy hỷ công đức. The purpose of this particular vow is to help us, eliminate our jealousy. On number 6, to request the Buddhas to turn the Dharma wheels, thỉnh chuyển Pháp luân. But then the Buddha is no longer here, so instead we need to request the Grand Master or the Masters to turn the Dharma wheel, which is to teach us Dharma. And 7, to request the Buddhas to remain in this world, thỉnh Phật trụ thế. Again, we ask the Grand Master to remain in this world longer, to educate us. And number 8, to always follow the Buddha's teaching, thường tùy Phật học. This means we need to study continuously. On number 9, to live harmoniously with all beings, hằng thuận chúng sanh. And number 10, to universally dedicate all merit and virtue, phổ giai hồi hướng. So all these vows represent practice, perfection of action. So normally, we learn, we try to understand concepts of the Dharma, but then we also need to practice the learning, the understanding. Understanding and practice must go hand in hand. And these vows also help practitioners to connect with all sentient beings, and hence this illustrates the interconnected or interbeing concept of the Flower Adornment Sutra overall. So on number 5, relationship between the Bhushuни vows, the principle of dependent origination, and the 10 great vows of Samatha Bhadra Bodhisattva. So from left to right, we have the Bhushuni Virya. So the precepts, once again, help us to purify our body, speech, and mind. And then this is translated in terms of the dependent origination concept in the Flower Adornment Sutra, as that all our actions through body, speech, and mind can affect or influence the entire universe. Again, one gem can relate or interconnect, interpenetrate other gems. And so in practice, when we take the understanding of dependent origination into practice according to Samatha Bhadra Bodhisattva vows, we need to be mindful of our actions. So we need to vow to act to benefit all sentient beings. And so perfecting a precept, for example, means bringing the individual closer to achieving enlightenment individually according to the Virya. But then, when interpreted that into dependent origination precept, that means that the energy from the positive behavior from perfecting that precept will positively be sent out to all sentient beings in the universe in the Indra's net concept. And so in practice, we need to vow to transfer the merits gained from this achievement to benefit all sentient beings. That's vow number 10 of Sambhatta Bhadra Bodhisattva in practice. And so just to give an example of this whole concept, so if I was to keep the precept of not eating after noon, I need to think that this positive energy I want to send to the entire universe from myself. And therefore, I would like to, the merit gain from keeping the precepts to all sentient beings so that they will have sufficient food, so no one will suffer from hunger. And it's actually my practice for 1 year. So on number 6, findings on the table of Bhikshuni vows and answers to research questions. So on the findings, there are 348 vows, and they are broken into several categories. So the goal of this research is to identify the specific vows that are aimed at reducing attachment and aversion through body, speech, and mind, because by consciously restraining physical and verbal actions, the vows help to pacify the gross disturbing attitudes of the mind. So from the findings, the results indicate that from the table, if you look below, there are some highlighted, some information highlighted in yellow and some highlighted in green. So the one highlighted in yellow, it tells me that the body appears to be the primary karmic channel that requires attention regarding attachment, because I, did the data and I tabulated everything into percentages so I can have the numbers to work with. So speech, as expected in green, appears to be primary karmic channel that requires attention for overcoming aversion. So why I do this? Because this is gonna be for my for this research paper, but then this is also for future research to look deep into the number, so I can use the number to develop interventions for behavior changes to help newly ordained bhikkhunis to successfully practice the precept. So I can target the ones with the high number first to come up with interventions to help that. So that's why. So from on number 6, I continue. So for research question number 1, how do dependent origination in the Flower Adornment Sutra and Samatha Bhadra's 10 great vows shape the ethical and practical aspects of the Dhamma Guptaka Bhikshuni Virya? So the Virya serves as foundational training. By keeping the Vinaya precepts, it means that we live by the principle of dependent origination. This means that we need to be mindful of all our actions, because each of our actions will affect the universe overall. And Samatha Bhadra's 10 great vows develops upon that foundation. So this manifests as compassionate engagement by serving all sentient beings. So research question number 2, which specific Dhamma Guptaka Bhikshuni vows directly target reducing aversion in body, speech, and mind? And number 3, which specific Dhamma Guptaka Bhikshuni vows directly target reducing physical, mental, and or sensual attachment in body, speech, and mind? So in detail, this is how the information I obtain by doing all the thematic analysis earlier, using the definition that I showed you all earlier to come up with all this. I go by the each vow and categorize them individually, and then I take all the number divided by the total to get the percentages. So I can work with that number to develop interventions programs later on. So that's to answer question number 2 and 3. Okay, so in conclusion, Bhikshuni's precepts are foundational for developing Bodhisattva's practice, knowing that each of our thoughts, words, and actions can affect the entire universe. So this is the concept map. I summarize every other concept in this very simple map. So we start with Bhikshuni's vows, and then practice the precepts or the vows for at least 2 years. Why 2 years? I looked into the 348 vows. On vow number 128 of the 178, I have to look up the name. On the 178 Pasitiya, it says that newly ordained Bhikshuni needs to be with their Vinaya preceptor for 2 years at least. So that means at least 2 years. So that's why I get that 2 years. So that means that during the first 2 years, we need to focus on just perfecting the Bhikshuni vows. For some people, they might take longer. For some, they might take a long time. But that's the number, how I got that number from. So after Bhikshuni is adequately practice the vows, they can go on to study the Flower Adornment Sutra and then try to understand the principle of dependent origination. So that's the understand the concept. And then they can apply the concept learned through the practice by following Samatha Bhadra's vows. So basically you have the vows, you have the concept, and then you have the practice. Okay, so for strengths, the strengths of my study is that I extensively work on the thematic analysis of the 348 Bhikshuni's vows. I utilize many reliable sources, especially on the vows. And I have a concept map to effectively summarize the idea, so then you can just take away with the map and then understand the whole research. And then for my limitation, because of the language and translation issue, when I use some sources, because many of them are in Chinese or Sino-Vietnamese, which is very hard to understand. And I have some of them I don't have access to resources because some website lock the access. So that was a limitation. So on future research can benefit from interviews, in-person interviews of senior bhikkhunis to solidify the concept in real-life practice. And then with the numbers that I obtain from the table, together with the interviews, I can then develop programs for newly ordained nuns to effectively practice their vows. Okay, so thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Shuko. So we'll take a few minutes to do the scoring and then we'll ask questions. So I had a question. So you're saying you are working with this, I guess you would say, paradox between the teachings on interdependence or emptiness where everyone's connected, but then keeping the monastic rules, it means separation.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, did you find that theme, have you read teachings from other teachers describing that theme, or did you come up with that theme yourself?
Professor, so I talked to some of the nuns, newly ordained nuns, and that was the confusion initially, because they don't know how when to incorporate the, I guess, consider Bodhisattva vows into their practice. So they are so eager to practice Bodhisattva vows that they forget to perfect their precepts first, because you need to purify yourself first before you can help others effectively. Otherwise, it would just collapse because then with attachment, aversion, everything you do is going to be down the hill from there.
And in doing the project, do you have an example or two in terms of your own precept practice, some changes you made or some things you noticed in doing the project?
In doing the project, I noticed that's why I look for the body, the precepts on the body. I have, lately I've been buying shoes to offer to people, to nuns. So when I read the precepts, I learned that I need to cut that down because I'm affecting others, by giving the donation to them. They need to be, I guess, detached from material possessions. So that's the one thing not necessarily for myself, but for others. But that's the same thing because we are in one, right? So that's the one thing I noticed and I need to cut down. That's the one thing I learned.
And then a final question. So in terms of the coding or, going through analyzing and coding, can you say more about the process of how you did that?
Sure. Okay, so I have, hold on. What's the definition? Okay, so when I looked at the vows, I browsed briefly when I came across the topic. I noticed that the codes within those, vows are attachment, aversion, body, speech, mind. It jumped out at me. So those are the codes. So then I looked into, I read up the definitions, of why the vows are there in the first place. And from the definition, the function is to purify body, speech, and mind, to eliminate defilements with such as attachment, aversion, and ignorance. So I defined those terms specifically. So from those terms, I go into the list, and as I go across each vow, I would ask the question: is this aversion or is this attachment? And then is this body, speech, and not mind? But then I mostly look for body, speech, because mind is basically inherently in all of us, all of them. So that's how I did my my coding.
So you had say 2 layers then, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the panel?
I really enjoyed the way you explain things analytically as well as thematically. But my question is, in terms of the vows, have you looked at least a few vows semantically? Because sometimes your understanding would be greater once you get into the semantics.
So that was one of the struggle for me, because I guess that could be a researcher bias in terms of interpretation. But I guess I just, took a dab at that. And I did struggle with some of them because, some I don't really clearly understand, but I try my best. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for a very clear presentation. This is an area where I'm completely ignorant, but your presentation makes it really easy to follow.
Thank you.
So that's maybe your expertise and skill here. Of course, I have a number of questions, but I will limit to 1 or 2 looking at the time. So you spend a lot of time coding all of these Bhikshuni vows, right? Sort of correlating to Samantha Bhatter's vows and kind of a counteracting aversion, attachment, all of those things. Looks like you have neatly coded them, but I wonder whether there are any overlaps sometimes, isn't it? Like certain vows could also, would it be possible, be able to how should I say, reduced aversion and attachment, both of them, not either or, right?
Yes,
It
I did
was
have
one.
that category for some, but then I decided to keep it simple, just to go with one, like primarily, because it would be so confusing. Because there are some occasions that for some vow, it could be either attachment or aversion.
Okay.
But I chose to go with one. So
Okay.
that was the one assumption, like one of the three assumptions I made when I code. Yeah.
Okay, great. So maybe that's a footnote somewhere you can put it, right? So
Yes,
it's
I need
important
to mention
find
that.
Looking at the categories or the divisions of Bhikshuni vows, 348 into those, the first one is called defeat. I know in the Tibetan what is exactly defeat. I know in terms of the Bhikshu vows, it's a very serious one. Sometimes in English we call it downfall. So I don't know in this context whether they defeat that vow with a nun. Like if you break that vow, is it possible that you cannot purify it, you are no more none anymore, or what is it? How do you define defeat?
So for defeat, there are eight of them. They're the most serious. If you break one, that's the end of your life, your nunhood life.
That's right. Okay, so it's the same meaning.
That's why it's defeat.
Okay. So that means I think in terms of observing them, right? So these are the, right, you kind of put your life on the stake.
Yes.
You cannot break them. Others, maybe you can do confession and restore them, right?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. With that, with the timekeeping, I'll just yield back to you. Yeah.
The reason I said that you need to kind of look into the semantic side of it, because, for example, if you take one principle that it says Bikala Vojana is prohibited. Bikala in Sanskrit and Pali means late afternoon, and Vojan means eating. And what does it mean, to say Bikal, the late afternoon? When does it start? How is it related to eating? It would be nice to see, to go deeper into it semantically, and that might clarify some of the explanations and reasons behind this.
Thank you for your input. I will look into that and do further research. Thank you, Doctor.
So like another layer of analysis using language. Mm-hmm.
It's important in Buddhism.
I can't help asking. I have a final question. So did you already start thinking of curriculum for nuns, like how you would teach it?
I'm gonna actually, after I get ordained, I'm gonna be ordained on May 30th. The preceptor will teach us, but I already have a bunch of books, and this research really helps me because I'm very serious about keeping my precepts. I'm anxious to keep them. That's why I need to learn. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That's it for this presentation. We'll take a short break, but
Thank you everyone for
very good
listening.
job.
Thanks for your patience.
Good evening, our master, Venerable Master of the Sakya Buddha Sangha, our professor, and our beloved audience. So let me start with the presentation today. So welcome you to the Thesis Defense of Thầy Huyền, myself, and my Dharma name is Thích Chen. This is the title of the topic is Buddhist Meditation for Conscious Leadership, Cultivating Wisdom and Success in Business. So we have 5 sessions in this presentation. The first is background, the second is research question, the third is methodology, and the number 4 is finding and discussion, and number 5 is conclusion. So for the background, why is this research important? Traditionally, leadership training lacks ethical depth and inner transformation, while popular mindfulness programs are often decontextualized. And for example, the concepts of mindfulness, so I was to ask a question, I would like to ask a question, anyone know about the concepts of mindfulness? Okay, thank you. So, actually, mindfulness is a concept highlighting the concern over its commercialization and delusion. Companies use mindfulness to boost productivity and profit. And without addressing deeper workplace issue, then turning it into a stress management tool rather than a path to self-awareness and ethical leadership. And the next question is what current knowledge offers. Then you can see here the mindfulness and emotional intelligence are widely acknowledged in the leadership study. However, Buddhist contemplative methods with its systematic moral mental training is underexplored in corporate business context. And most research lack of structure, long-term program-based, and rooted in authentic Buddhist principle. So the next question is what this research adds. I propose here three parts. The first is a Buddhist grounded framework to integrate the four noble truths and four foundations of mindfulness into leadership development model. And I propose here the practical three-tile roadmap for cultivating self-awareness, emotional intelligence, resilience, ethical decision, and decision-making strategic and wisdom. Then the last one, futuristic pathway lay the foundation for empirical study and cross-cultural adaptation of Buddhist-rooted contemplative practice. And based on the study, I rely on the textbook of the Bodhisattva Vasubandhu. In Vietnamese is Bồ-Tát Thế Thân. And the name of the book is the Abhidhamma Kosha Bhashyam. It is Kausalot. And here's the most influential Indian Buddhist scholar whose legacy include remarkable thousands of commentary books and give to the current generation. Then another sense of research I based on the teachings of the Master Venerable Thích Huyền Châu. He is the CEO of Sakya Buddha University, and a set of book like this one, The Leader Ways of Business and Buddhism. So I come to the next section of research question. Here we have 4 research questions. The number one is how can framework integrating Buddhist contemplation practice, particularly the 4 foundations of mindfulness and the 4 noble truths with business strategy and SWOT analysis, be developed for leadership development? SWOT analysis, SWOT stands for strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. And number 2 is how can the practice of the 4 foundations of mindfulness support business leader in identifying and overcome for disruption? It is like 4 điên đảo, for perception, thereby cultivating insight and improving ethical decision making. Then question number 3, what role do the contemplative aspect of the 4 noble truths, particularly the 16 characteristics, play in transforming leaders' strategic perspective on the challenges, causes, solution, paths to sustainable development in the corporate environment? And here we call it 16 hành tướng của Tứ Diệu Đế. Sorry. And number 4 is what are the expected benefit and potential impact on corporate integrity and leadership effectiveness of integrating Buddhist mindfulness and meditation practice into business leadership practice. So the next part is methodology. I based on the middle course number 10 Satipatthana Sutta, the foundation of mindfulness, kinh tứ niệm xứ in Vietnamese. So you all know that the four foundations of mindfulness include dwelling on the body, in the body, feeling in the feeling, mind on the mind, or mental object in the mental object. So it is like realize things as it is. And with the diligent alertness and mindfulness. So practice here, we cultivate wisdom, dispelling delusion and lead to ethical sustainable action to addressing four types of misconception or wrong perception. This is Vipassana. For foundation, for wrong perception, it is seeing impurity as purity, sufferings as happiness, impermanence as permanence, or non-self as self. So 4 điên đảo in Vietnamese là xem những thứ như là nó đang bất tịnh thành tịnh chẳng hạn. Đấy là một cái ví dụ. Then I move to the detail, further detail in the context of business. So here I based on the case study, some case study. Let me go to the business context firstly. So for mindfulness of body, the leader aware of physical state, energy level, and business structure signal and business interaction. And for the sensation, when practice the contemplation of sensation, the leader aware of emotional response such as the customer or supplier in value chains or employee of community. Then the next part is mindfulness of mind. Then when he observes thoughts and mental states of they can enhance leaders' self-awareness and emotional intelligence. And the last part is mindfulness of Dharma. Then the leaders can observe insight on nature of things and realize impermanence of market trends and success. So you can see in practical life, in the real context of business, corporate failures underscore the consequence of neglecting sustainability and ethics, such as the case of Volkswagen. Do you remember that case with the car company in Germany? This company have a scandal of emission of the air of the car, and it is exemplifies the distortion of pleasure, where certain profit motive led to deceptive practice and resulting in 30 billion in fine and reputational damage. But it's very good that the company can recover and abandon these products, and then they become the leaders in the environmental product. So here you can see the 4 distortion I already explained, and by that the leaders can gain clarity by observing where distorted perception impact decision, and by that the leader can develop a business strategy and conduct SWOT analysis. This align with the Buddhist principle. And for example, of Volkswagen, I just give you an example. They turn this threat or the weakness to the opportunity or to the strength. So it is what the business tool for the company or for the business to work on the strategy of vision and mission of company. Then the leaders can reduce reactivity and bias in strategy, planning, and communication. And lastly, they can promote realistic awareness of internal strength and market changes. Then the next part is the 4 noble truths contemplate to the 13 characteristics. Here we have a 4 main session based on the 4 noble truths. It is suffering, the first truth, and the second is the cause of suffering or origin of suffering. The third is the cessation of suffering, and the last is the path to cessation of suffering. Then we have a 4 characteristics in each truth. In this, the first one is impermanence, suffering, emptiness, and non-self. It is they are the vô thường, khổ không, vô ngã. And in the business context, we realize the ways that the leaders can contemplate and recognize core business challenges both internally and externally. Then market shifts are good foundation. And relating to the origin of suffering, based on identifying and observing or understanding the suffering, then the business leaders can trace back challenging to root causes, culture, and behavior and strategy. So culture or processes of the company or the behavior related to the feelings of the people and the strategy, so that they can lead the company or themselves. And here we have a cause, origin, arising, and condition. It is like nhân tập sinh diên. And the next one is the cessation, stillness, subtlety, and detection under the cessation of suffering. And in the business context, the leaders can visualize resolution and the centerings of mission and strategy. And the last part is the path to cessation of suffering, including path, reality, practice, and emergence. It is đạo như hành xuất. And then the business leader can define action-enabled strategy, ethical conduct, and long-term goal. And the next part is finding. Then in here I list down two main sessions. So the first session is the divergent understanding of mindfulness. We can see that the traditional mode and the difference in the concept of traditional model in mindfulness. So for contemporary mindfulness, the contemporary approach tend to emphasize non-judgmental moment-to-moment awareness, while traditional model place greater importance on sustained attention to familiar objects, such as like breath or light of the candle, and then the practitioners continue to practice on like insight meditation, we call it the introspective monitoring, and they aim for the attentional stability that can be maintained for a extended period. The next part is the practical challenges in meditation practice. Then we can see here the mental imbalance, especially for the beginner. They often face agitation or dullness, and it could like make them to or discourage them to practice further. And the next is physical discomfort. Then they misinterpretation of the tension and also lead to discontinue practicing. Then the surface level stage, the practitioner can mistakenly temporary peace or clarity for spiritual reaction and risks of the spiritual bypassing, and the corporate adaptation and risks. So here the simplification for productivity, actually the leadership training program relating to the mindfulness, they carry out in the business context, such as like Silicon Valley companies such as Google. It is very like effective for them, for the company itself, and for the employee, for the leaders. But here we can identify the problem that they shorten the traditional practice for accessibility, and it is become far away from the Buddhism rooted principle. And then the risk of superficial practice, which is with that the focus is often on performance rather than on transformation. And I go deeper, the next section of finding relating to the ethical challenge and mindfulness critiques. The problem of mindfulness is the commercialization. And here the mindfulness is that productivity tool and divorced from business ethic. And they even have a lot of mindful products marketed like consumer goods. So I even see the mindful coffee, mindful meal, or mindful dog. And the second part is ethical disconnects, when they just focus on the individual problem rather than the business system issue, then it has become loss of compassion and ignoring roots of greed, hatred, and delusion, which is undermined true purpose of the mindfulness and meditation. And it is lack of social justice, which framing threat as personal issue are ignorant rather than systematic inequality. And the last part is lack of depth and truth insight. Without the insights and dependence, we can see that the missing Buddhist goal of liberation and compassion. And you can see a case study of very big company with the leaders named both Stiller. He is the one who advocate for the mindfulness a lot in his business. And however, it is not prevent material downfall of himself, and he actually violate the company policy by pledge the company's convertible notes. And in the teachings of Abhidhamma Sankara Sastra, it is Pháp ẩn túc luận. The Venerable Mr. Thích Huyền Châu already taught us that the Western style, they far from the rooted cause of the Buddhism, because mindfulness, it's not just mindfulness, it is right mindfulness, and it's have to base on the whole set of eightfold noble paths, from right view, right intention, right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right effort, right livelihood, right efforts, and right mindfulness. And from right mindfulness can come to right concentration, and finally reach to right liberation. Then similarly, Venerable Thích Nhất Hạnh wants that if mindfulness is just used as the means to achieve financial success, it becomes an intimation practice incapable of bringing true peace, joy, and happiness that the Buddhism can bring to people. Then I move to the next parts of discussion. Based on that, I give the social roadmap for conscious leader practice. The reason because when the business just based on the mindfulness simply and practice breathe in out to make the people release the threat, so it does not make sense if they do not know the whole roadmap. Then from the beginning level, intermediate level, and advanced level, that's just like a proposal from myself, but we can work in next future projects with the university, with the Buddhism faculty, such as Sakya Buddha University or Naropa, for example. Then here, based on my practice with the ex-company before I go for monastic life, then we have goal, practice, method, and reflection review. Then just for foundation level, we can practice about 15 to 30 minutes. And here I recommend longer time for weekend, especially a mindful break, just like 5-10 minutes during the day. Then it's very helpful for leaders release stress and make right decision. And for reflection and review, suggestion is that before sleep, they can contemplate a day lesson, merit, and moment of clarity. It's very helpful naturally. Similar for the next immediate level and advanced level. So I propose the method here. For example, here just mindfulness with breath and contemplation of body and sensation. But move to the advanced levels, we can consider we can practice the awareness, contemplation of Dharma, and 16 exercise contemplation of Four Noble Truths. And I really like a reflection and review. So for the intermediate level, suggest that they do the nightly reflection on personal development. And here at that state, they already need periodic consultation with meditation teacher for guidance and refinement. And the last one, the advanced level, we also mentioned about the mindfulness, but here in the intermediate level, I also recommend the part of like 13 minutes of meditation before making any important decision or meeting. And for the advanced level in reflection and review, I suggest that the practitioner have a daily end-to-end and end of the day contemplation, ongoing mental sit with meditation teacher to address challenges and deepen insight. So then the next is the program for the leadership. So I suggest incorporate the meditation and mindfulness trainings to the leadership development program of the company. Then the 8 week format is recommended. Workshop, daily practice, or mindful practice, as I explained in early part. And here, of course, it is the recommendation only, but we have curriculum modules based on the objective. So normally it's better to work with the business itself to develop the objective, the needs, and then we can propose certain objectives specifically for that business. So here's, for example, self-awareness, emotional intelligence, or last one is strategic visioning. And for example, I put here, when we practice for strategic visioning, I suggest with the insight meditation and 16 exercise contemplation. So here I give the example of Nike, because Nike is one of our customer, very key one, and it is ranked number 1 in the business, in the apparel industry in the world. And here you can see the inside 16 characteristics we already know, and for the Nike example, you can see the strong brand. The strong brand, so success for cessation, success for strength, we can deem it as cessation because it is big. Company is number 1, and it is the company achievement. So the strong brand recognition, our loyal customer base, and innovation-driven culture. And Nike strength represents stillness and cessation, stable foundation built through overcome past obstacle. And for Subsidiary is ability to lead industry with advanced product and inclusive branding akin to reaching a state of excellence. That's the way of Nike products and strategy. And the last one is detection. Nike strategic focus on direct-to-customer channels, reducing reliance on intermediary and fostering direct relationship with customer for degree of autonomy and resilience in market dynamic. So for example, in 2020, when the COVID-19 happened, actually Nike already prepared for that in advance a few years, and they have a direct-to-customer channel. Then they still develop compared to its competitor during that period. And when they work with our company, they work directly with us to design again the strategy with 3 layers, 3 circumstances, this scenario to address with the challenges of COVID-19 issue. So they work closely with the suppliers and in the value chains. So similarly, I have the Nike example for eco-innovation, digital expansion and AI personalization for opportunity. For weakness, they have supply chains dependencies and reputational risks. Actually, in the past, Nike have a problem with the labor chain, and they have to address it by reviewing the system of the business of the vendors. So they come to our company, for example, to review our company human policy and to check whether the company use child labor. And for the supply chain dependence during the COVID-19, they actually review all the vendor with a lot of characteristics from the security system, from the financial system, whether they're strong or not, and then they reduce like about 25% of number of suppliers, and increase those ones they keep to the partner level. And the last one is threats. We can see the global instability, legal and ethical risk or inflation impact. Just consider as the threats for the Nike. And the next, beside the curriculum and the roadmap I suggest here, then another thing that support system or environment and evaluation is really needed for the leadership development program. Then I propose here the coaching and mentor, qualified instructor, physical and cultural environment, culture development and evaluation tool. And here again, I recommend that the company or the business work with the affiliation or cooperate with the recognized institution like Narapa or Sakya Buddha University. And I move to the last part of conclusion with strengths and limitation. Here I can further strengthen the thesis, the strategic clarity to ethical squad and strengthening ethical decision-making and resilience by contemplation of 16 characteristics for noble choice applied for strategic tools, 7 insight and decision-making under complex conditions, foster emotion balance and long-term vision of the business. And it's based on the no harm value principle of the company. And then the thesis can address the mindfulness concepts based on the roadmap of the practical training pathway for conscious leadership. Another part is the limitation that you can see that applying the meditation technique, especially the hard one like that, very difficult and a lot of challenging. So here we can see risks of superficial mindfulness and time and practice barrier, because whenever you talk to the leader, they say that are too busy to do anything. Then we have instructor security. That's why I recommend that work with the professional institution. Then the last one is the psychological ethical readiness. So for future research, I explained, we have, I propose here the empirical evaluation of program impact, the cultural and organization adaptability, ethical cultural and organization transformation, and the last part in instruction development and standardization. And actually, it's nice that I can see another thesis of ancient and Yvonne Dow also mentioned about the 16 characteristics of for noble truths. So we may do have a future project together. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll take a few minutes to do the grading and then we'll ask some questions. So I had a question. Can you go back to the slide with the 4 establishments of mindfulness? Yeah. So I found this very interesting because we normally think it's just for me individually, my own body, my own emotion, my own mind. But I like how you're using this to talk about the business as a whole. It's like a framework to look at the whole business. So thinking about everybody's physical body and the business. But I would imagine, are you also meaning the physical buildings, the physical material also?
Thank you for the question. Actually, we have the physical states of the business, of the company. So it could be whether the system is educated for the business to run it in normal situation. So yeah, I'm fine with you with that idea. Right. Yeah, just not explain here in detail only.
Because I think that's where it's very interesting using the Buddhist teaching to look at the whole business, like including the physical building, all of the material things, and seeing it as one big body, I guess. Yeah, so it's very interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
Also then, so would you say if a business is adopting this strategy, then would they pay the employees to meditate?
Oh, that's a good question. I think we will come to this question. So let I move to next. I will show you the mindful product here, so you can see the mindful dog, mindful coffee. Just very funny, right? Here you can see the top companies quick meditation space you can find viewing. And here's the PwC is my previous employer as well. They also handle. You can see here when they find a job for you, for anyone, you find the company with some criteria like good environment, good medical take care, health care. And here's the top company with meditation spaces. And it is 260 companies. So PwC is number 2 here in the list. And here's the Google meditation place, Nike, the space. And here's Marksford, the ex-company I worked before. And actually I spent 5 years to implement we've spent 5 years to implement the leadership training program and the coaching culture for the company. Then we developed, we also embed the mindfulness in that program. So I think it's a kind of foundation for us to carry out the next step of meditation. And my boss, he totally agreed with me. Here's his room. Actually, he room to work. But now he located in Taiwan. So he told me that you can use that to teach meditation to our employee. And I can teach from remote because I'm here in the United States, but the company is in Vietnam. And we have a pagoda here where before I went forth, I practice Buddhism every day. So it is the practice of my company, many people go with the Buddhism as well.
That's great. I'm sure many people would like to work at a place like that.
Thank you.
Other questions from the panel?
You know, in the discussion page,
Yeah.
you have the weaknesses and the insight in 16 characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
You gave an example of Nike. Can you just elaborate a bit more?
Mm-hmm. Actually, it's just like we don't have a wrong or right answer in this case, just based on the actual experience of the company. So for example, in the past when we go with the researcher of the company, and we take a lot of time in restructure the company, and really had that period. So in 2017, we got problem. We had to restructure the company. Then then it is we can see we can recognize like the cause of okay, so I will explain another way for better to understand. So for the case of, let I find which one is more relevant. So for the case of Nike, with Nike growth, let me think to find a reasonable example for you to better understand. So okay, I move to the threat section. Then Nike faced external threat, including competition, economic fluctuation, and legal issue. For example, here that what I mentioned. Then with contemplation of the path, mean the way they handle, and it is the clarity in the strategy require Nike to have the clarity in each strategy. So it is a path, and here they need to work on the grounding in like authentic values. So we consider as reality, and they need to be consistent ethical decision making. So we consider as action, and we can see the emotions here. Emotions here has like speak to the potential for Nike to transcend the reactive business practice and embody like a proactive or resilience and rooted in wisdom Buddhism, because like to keep it like as the first position like for a long time is not easy. So you can see back to the case of Nokia and Apple, for example, if they do not recognize the threat with those characteristics of like a part reality, to see things as it is, arising or emergence, then Nokia is replaced by Apple. Just another example for you, clearer. Is that okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Venerable, so I have no business mind, so I don't am the right person to ask question here. But because you applied the Four Noble Truths and the 16 attributes like that, first of all, I mean, it's a very ambitious project. And in terms of creativity, it's very high-level creativity. So those are my compliments. So I don't know how I ask this question, so don't take it too personally. Just coming out of my ignorance here, basically. So because you're talking about the ethical right side of those things, so how would you respond to the misappropriation right issues that this we talk about, right? Buddha's Four Noble Truths, the 16 attributes is the whole Buddhist foundation structure meant to achieve nirvana and enlighten man, not to run a business and make more dollars or anything like that. So now we are misappropriating that into making more money. And so how would you answer that question?
Actually, for this book, The Diamond Cutter, I think you are familiar with that because this is from Tibetan based. Mm-hmm. Then this one, they introduce the idea of Buddhism, and it is based on the cause and consequence. Mm-hmm. So you give what you have, what you receive actually. Mm-hmm. Then a lot of like, actually it also have a businessman study this project in Vietnam as well. It's have a wide network in the world, and a lot of like social and entrepreneur practice it and make a share comment how they practice and make it successful. Mm-hmm. So that impressed me with this book as well.
Mm-hmm. No, I know that it has been applied in many ways. So I mean, but not necessarily that they have not misappropriated it. That question still remains, right?
Yeah.
I know maybe they can make more money. Okay, good for them. But still the misappropriation issue is at stake, right?
Yeah, because they see the long-term view. They don't see the real long-term view. Okay. So he can see here the distortion of impurity as purity, right? Then the business, they try to make money, or they they just to cut the focus on short-term benefits, then they sacrifice the long-term benefits. So, for example, if I don't invest in the environmental issue, then in future I make a fine for that very big, like a Volkswagen issue.
Okay.
So just for example, so it is the need, like we have Buddha nature, then the business, if they do not bring value to the public, the community, so how they can make benefits for themselves. So in case of Amazon, for example, they bring value to the every very good price product in good quality to many people, then they success. In case of Facebook, they share a lot of happiness people, and then they success. So that's the Buddhist root principle, right?
Okay. Okay, I'm looking at the watch service. So the Four Noble Truths and the 16 characteristic attributes, you think, right? When, from a Buddhist perspective, this is to help us to experience detachment, right? Have you considered that this might backfire the business? That after I'm running a company and then I think about this, then I'm just thinking like there's no essence in everything I'm doing. You know, I'm just going to pack up and I'm going to go. Would it backfire? That's what Buddha wanted us, right? Go and renounce and find the path, run the multi-billion-dollar industries. Do you think it will backfire or not?
Not really understand the question.
I said because the Four Noble Truth is to help us, right, to overcome attachment, right, to be detached from the mundane activities, right? That's why you become a nun, right?
Okay.
Right? Now,
it's not
right?
like
so your practice is that, right? So if you are a business person, I don't think you will be a good one, right? Because you're right.
Actually, Dr. Tenchin, thanks for the question, Dr. Chen. We still have a Buddhist leaders in Vietnam. He's a wide range of companies, and he's actually a Shark Tank in Vietnam. He has a business in hospital, education. So it's not like totally different, I think. Thank you.
Any other questions from the panel? No? Okay, thank you very much, Shuko. Very good job.
Good evening, Venerable Master, Venerable monks and nuns, and outstanding professors, and all revered audience. It's a very I feel like it's very honored for me tonight to have the chance to speak with all of you and just practice like my friend. So I wanted to ask you, except Venerable Thích Huyền Châu, any of you know about the mendicant who cannot remember a verse in the sutra? Can any of you know the name of that mendicant? Oh, I'm glad that you don't know. Because I heard about the song that Venerable Thích Huyền Châu made that, and I love that song so much. And even I love that song so much, I still cannot remember the name of that mendicant. And when I listen to that song, I feel like I am him. I am that mendicant. It's really hard for me. And so that's why tonight, my name is Zavu, and I have the topic talking about applying the concept of 5 aggregates in the Heart Sutra, and combined with the daily meditative practice of Avalokita Bodhisattva can decrease the fetters occurred in daily life. So I hope that, I don't know, that you see through me that I think about fetters, I think about suffering a lot, and all my life I keep thinking about the sutra, the Heart Sutra that Avalokitesvara talk about that. And I remember that in Vietnamese, but not in English yet. So, and I just learned that from when I was 10 years old. At that time, my dad brought me to the pagoda, to the temple, and listened to that. And it's just over my head. So I just listen, and just like a student 10 years old, I know how to read, but I didn't know how to chant yet. And I just sit in the temple with everyone. Mostly they are older people. And just I say like that, Quán tự tại Bồ Tát, thành tâm bát nhã ba la mật đa thời, chiếu kiến ngũ uẩn giai không, độ nhất thiết khổ ách. That is the way that I did, so that people over there look at me just like an annoying girl, little girl, because I chant without rhythm, and I just read that. But that Heart Sutra grew with me my whole life until if any time that I have any monks who can explain that to me, I still have the problem asking the, let me read this one. This part, Sariputta, form is not from emptiness. Emptiness is not different from form. Form itself is emptiness. Emptiness itself is form. The same is true for sensation, perception, mental formation, and consciousness are also like this. Oh, that is the first part. But this is the part that I kept thinking for almost all of my life. And for the first part, Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, in the Heart Sutra, the first part saying that while staying, and I am just like the mendicant who forget the verse. So sorry about that. Just so let me talk about the three parts, the reason for me to choose this topic. Because in society, even we are rich or poor, we are staying with loved, or we are lonely. So, or we are well revered by many people, or we are just ordinary person, so that everyone, I think that everyone share the same desire to live in peace and experience less suffering. So that's the reason that I am always thinking about suffering. And in Heart Sutra mentioned about Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, saying that while practicing deeply the Prajna Paramita, that is the perfection of wisdom, he suddenly clearly saw that the five aggregates are all empty, thereby transcending all suffering and distress. And this is the first part. This is the part that follow me all my life, because I don't know how can we transcending the suffering right away. But sometime I feel like that I can transcending the suffering and distress. But I keep going back and forth that how can I live till this time? That is, we see that research prove that meditation helps people to have a better health, to be calm and wiser. And East Asian people just believe in one yin, that is Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, but that is from India. We have that Bodhisattva. And coming to Asia, so we have another one, the same Avalokitesvara, but the name, they changed it into one yin. And why? Why there's a difference like that? But in the Asia, we just worship one yin. And that is the reason I can live till now with happiness, because I believe in one yin. It's easier. But doing the thesis and having the chance to study in this program, actually when I try to study this program, I just think about, oh, let me learn some English. And what about the program of Buddhism, so that I can read some books. That's it. But I get involved with this program and I love it. And it's really hard. And even I feel myself like that mendicant who cannot remember the verse. And I love him so much. And that's why I try my best to study and apply the concept of the Buddhism and the karma. When I was 10 years old, and at that time my dad just turned into a Buddhist. He learned a lot, and he just wanted to share with me. And he told me when I said that, Dad, I'm not good in this one. In my class, there's someone who's better than me, and my dad just applied the Buddhism concept. He told me that don't worry about that, just learn, because the ones who's better than you now, they learn it for years and in their previous lives, so that they have knowledge more than you. So don't worry, just study, and if you're not getting better yet, it's still okay, but to just study, because you save that for your future life. It's so wonderful that I have that father who taught me that. That's the reason that I keep it into my mind. I just keep studying. And just whatever I learn, I keep it like, I'm still like ignorant or something, but I keep it for my future life. And that is the thing that I love about Buddhism. And what we said about the 5 aggregates, we have 5 aggregates. We have feeling. First one is rupa, that is form, and then feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. All of these just are aggregates, so that when I just like the way that Thích talked about nothing that impermanent, and he compare and like everything just we have no self. When we look at a piece of paper, that we have everything in that, and that's easy for us to understand. Oh, so we have no self. That in one piece of paper, there's the sun, the person who grow the tree, and the ones who take care, who's in the factory, everyone join in that part. So for me, it's easy to understand that idea. But sắc tức thị không, không tức thị sắc, that is hard to understand, because rupa form is impermanent, is nothing. But what is that? The emptiness is form, rupa. So, but today, since I work with this one, and I just think about, when my airplane just go through the cloud, at that time when I was far from that cloud, I saw that looked like a rabbit. But when the airplane go through that, at that time it's like transparent. I don't see the rabbit anymore. Just some dots, something that, I said that here is emptiness. But what about the emptiness is rupa. Emptiness is form. Today I understand that. That is like usually when I walk at home, sometimes I just think, I don't understand, I don't get that. But the chance for doing this thesis, I found out, hey, when we look at the environment without any cloud or anything, we don't see that. There's form, there's rupa. But actually, when the airplane go through that, we don't see that. But there's turbulent, so there's might be some problem. So there's the form. And we see that the environment, there's nothing, that is emptiness. But there's some sources, some forces in that. And if we don't be careful, if we are not careful, there's something might happen, some danger, anything can happen. So that's why I just feel like I'm a American. To that American cannot remember the verses, so I just say anything just come out of my mind right now. So I feel it's easier than I follow this one, the one that I prepare. So let's see what I think about the emptiness and aggregates. And I just feel like, hey, how can we live? But right now, sometimes I just look back at my life at the time that I was born until now. I have some pictures of when I was small and some pictures that lately that I am getting older a lot. So I see that there's changing a lot. So that is emptiness. That is nothing that is self. And suddenly I didn't intend to show the picture of my grandson. But my grandson, I love him when he was a small baby. But now he's a teenager. So I said, I don't feel like the way that, I know that my grandson I love a lot, but he's changing. And everyone, we are changing. And I have some friend who died already. And suddenly I just said, she died already. And what lived in my heart? And like someone who died, I remember that when we check that person and they say that, he stopped breathe already. So then for me, I feel like that sometime it happened to me. And that is changing all of the time. So that is, this body, this form is aggregate. And the feeling that we have, thọ tưởng hành thức, all of that come from the rupa, the form at the beginning. So just the same, just aggregates, nothing. So then when I get mad at someone, of course, actually, we are all the time get mad at someone. And I just feel, hey, forget it, don't think about that. But now I feel like everything's changing. And the ones who are very beautiful, everyone admire that. And lately, I watch on YouTube, there's a mother who just talk about her son, the ones that he have a different gene, the genes that make him getting older very quickly. I don't know because they speak in Vietnamese, so I don't check that, what kind of gene yet. I don't do the homework yet about that. But I keep looking at that girl. I'm sorry, that girl, not boy. That girls look like a very, very old, and then she cannot walk. She just lean like this and lean on something. And her face and everything, she lost all of her hair, and then just like around 80 years old in the body of a 3-year-old girl. So that made me feel like, at first I saw that and I felt like very sad. But through learning from the aggregates, I said, no, I have to get over that. And I feel like I watched that with love. And I watched that and feeling like everyone just the same. So the ones that who's beautiful now, someday will change. And talking back about the karma that my dad told me about how I should learn, and he also looked at the ones that who's beautiful. In my class picture, I show him, and he said that this one is smarter than the other one. He can look at the face in the picture, and he told me that. And just like a very, at that time, I felt my dad is very smart, who can tell me the way that this person can speak, and beautiful and how smart. And that make me feel like, and I asked, oh, this one's beautiful, and my dad told me that. Because she has many previous lives doing good things, so that she's born with that beauty. And for me, just try my best just to be a good person. So then everything I cannot succeed now, I don't feel like too bad. I just prepare that for my future life, and I got better. And if in the cycle of the rebirth, sometimes might be I get something bad, but I know that through learning I can change. So that is the and in the Buddhism, we know that everyone has a Buddha nature. Everyone has a Buddha nature, so then feel like, just try to feel like we have the tendency, we have the power to be good, to be better. So that's why I just say that. So that just let me, I know that I just use the time, but not well. But for me, I feel like in the morning when we deal with everything, everyone in the world, think of that as aggregates, as it's changing all the time. That help us not to get mad, not to like have angry or doing like bad things or feel like that. Just think of it that way. Just anything that we see, we deal with that. That is the thing that we should. And at night, when I talk about One Yin, at night, when I listen to Venerable Thích Huyền Châu talking about concentration meditation, that help people to be like getting better, getting smarter, and the way he teach that we can look at the light, and instead of looking at the light, Venerable Thích Huyền Châu talked that he look at the sunlight, sunset. For me, I look at the picture, the statue of One Yin, and looking at One Yin, I feel like I am loved. One Yin always loved me. So that's why from that I ask for protection. And when asking one yin bodhisattva help me, I just feel like, oh, I asked that for my loved one. Everyone's being loved the same way, being getting better, lucky the same way. So joining, we have like in the morning we have you use the wisdom of Avalokitesvara, and at night the same that bodhisattva, but in East Asia we have that Guanyin. Just meditate on her, and so have a better life, and we can get over with our suffering. I think that it is the time, and today, just like showing my honor, and with Thầy Thích Huyền Châu, Venerable Thích Huyền Châu, who's like always think the best for us, and all of our professors, monks, and think of us to have the chance to study over here, and for me to have the chance to be similar to the ignorant monk who cannot remember the a verse, but for me to be my best, and I prepare everything for my future lives. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a couple of moments for the grading, and then we'll ask questions.
Should I show my work with the?
Yes,
of course. Yeah. Yeah, there. The last one is one yin. The first one is Avalokitesvara, so that the changing from a male figure bodhisattva into the female figure. That shows that the way that Buddhism send the seed to everywhere to teach people, that is go with the group of local people and go with the culture, and then change it a little bit so that we can we win the heart of people, and then that's why Buddhism is spreading a lot. Okay.
So I had a question. So your father took you to the temple when you were young.
Yes.
Then how did you keep connected to Buddhism? Did you keep going to the temple, or did you stop and go back later?
For a while. Just like when I was 10 years old at the time, there's a lot of politics in our country, so that's why my father, just like being a normal person in Vietnam, we just worship ancestors, but we turn into Buddhist, and I went with him. We went to Sala temple in the weekend, so that that is a good time. I had that with my dad. And after that, I have a chance to attend the high school in front of that Sala temple, that is Zalong High School, and I studied there. When I went to high school, just like we go to a smaller temple, very poor people, let the neighborhood, so that not much the chance that we study now we have the chance to study in university, Sakya Buddha University. It's totally different. The ones that I went, just chanting, and when I went with my dad, so he read the book. Now he passed away, so I have some books that he left, and I read that. And I left my country when the communists took over in my country. I didn't living with the communists at that time. We don't have the chance to be showing that we are real Buddhists. But actually, at that time, I had the chance to stay in the temple. So I studied from the nun who just told me, and then I didn't have a chance to be with my dad until when he got into this country, and he fell ill and he passed away. So that is bad. But I think that all what he taught me, that is even just some, but it stay in my heart and in my mind all of the time. And the way he taught the karma go with me, that is a positive thinking about karma. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions from the panel?
I really appreciate listening to your very touching and personalized connection with Konyin Buddha or Bodhisattva. As a Buddhist, I think most of us do practice or think about the Heart Sutra, and I personally am still struggling to understand the meanings of what you just said. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form is no other than emptiness, emptiness is no other than form. The same with the remaining aggregates, you know. And if somehow we can figure out that meaning, which I think basically has to do with how emptiness and dependent arising, pratit, samutpat, and shunyata, they are very complementary. I think we can definitely find a way to reduce the fetters, not only reduce it, but get rid of the fetters, you know. And, you know, there are not many people who really can tell such a powerful story like you did, you know. Yes. And sometimes even as a Buddhist, I kind of wonder that I don't know much, but I know a little bit, but it's more in my head than in my heart. But listening to you, it is very inspiring, you know, how you really feel the connection, right? And that's what Buddhism is meant for, not just to be talked about or not just to be big mouth or, you know, it is something, right, that gives us the essence. So I thank you for sharing me. I have really no questions here. I just want to express my appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Yeah.
I wanted to thank you for using your personal narrative regarding your father, because it's reminding me of my father and how he taught me about Buddhism. And so thank you again.
Oh, thank you. And I enjoyed the time learning with you a lot. And I know that you always remember your dad, just the way that I love that my dad a lot. But I wanted to mention, because just only talking about Alavo Kitsvera, I have my mom just like a one yin too, so that I have a two part in the morning with wisdom with my bodhisattva, just like reminding me of my father, and at night when I look at the statue of one yin, I just remember my mom. Just let me, I know that the time is reached, but let me talk a little bit about my mom. At the time that the first time we have influenza hit in our country, at that time I heard my dad said that, oh, this is very dangerous and somebody is dead with this too. And my mom let me sleep on her bed so that it's in the center of the house so that she can, like everyone know what's going on with me in there. And my mom just come and just rub, because at that time we don't have medication for that kind of flu. So she just come and rub my head And when I feel like I'm okay, I told my mom, you stop, you relax, and my mom just keeps staying with me. And when she passed away, I still remember that she touched my head, and the massage that I have, that I feel like it's like a miracle. So anytime that when we have a headache, someone or someone love us, touch on that is the best. Yeah, and my mom is one yin to me, and yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank-
Any other questions? No? Okay, so that concludes our presentations for the evening. Thank you very much, Ja. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
And any final words?
Rồi xong rồi, cảm ơn các vị rất là nhiều. Mời đại chúng đứng lên, chúng ta hồi hướng. Chúng sinh vô biên thệ nguyện độ, phiền não vô tận thế nguyện đoạn, vô lượng thế nguyện học Phật đạo, vô thượng thế nguyện thành. Ngày mai cũng đúng 6 giờ 30 phút mời đại chúng vân tập lại tại chỗ đây để chúng ta tiếp tục với ba đề tài, 3 vị nghiên cứu sinh nữa. Dạ.